Well, good morning, everybody. Quick lawn update. Now looking at this video here. This was Wednesday. The seed that I planted the Tuesday before, so 8 days, was coming up. Continues to come up. And sorry, I'm sitting kind of under a bird's nest right now. They're kind of mad at me. I found, I'm trying to deal with a couple of other things that are happening in the lawn right now in an effort to keep those ground squirrels from chewing everything up, especially anything new as far as new seedlings that went down, because they're liking to mow down the grass pretty short. It's pretty much what they're doing, so hot sauce does not work on them. I'm going to have to be doing something different. I'm going to try out a couple of different techniques to just sort of shoo them away and see if we can go from there. But I decided to take a little bit of a different track on this video to sit and go a little more educational. I'm not going to be doing any applications in the lawn today, which makes, about 10 days since anything's gone down when I did that RGS app over the top of the seeds. Grass is filling in just wonderfully. It's dark green. The 1801 applications I did a month ago are still holding very strong. We're just about to come into some warmer temps, like getting into the 70s, hopefully in the next 4 or 5 days. But it's still been cold. It's still been raining pretty much every day. Now, that's not how it's been for folks in the Southeast. So this is what I want to talk about. If you want to talk about bizarre spring weather. So obviously I've had snow. Very cool temperatures, lots and lots of moisture. Not as much moisture as some folks in the Midwest and like down in Oklahoma. There's flooding happening all throughout the Midwest and down a little bit into the South. And then you've got this massive heat wave and drought through the Southeast that's affecting a lot of people. So a couple of weeks ago, when I was in Georgia, it was still very cool. The day after I left, temperatures jumped from like a high of 70 to a high of 92, and then they've stayed in the 90s to low hundreds pretty much ever since. And I don't believe there's been any rain in like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even longer. So stuff is really drying out. Florida's had the same thing. Very hot, very dry. It's coming into the summer months, which are typically very wet, and that can go either way. Sometimes it takes a little bit before that kicks on, but they'll be getting some moisture here hopefully soon. So we're going to talk about the drought aspect first, and watering and what you can do. And there's a few general rules in lawn care for people to consider, and I think there's sort of the big three. The big three that people look at is mow it, fert it, water it. Okay, those are the big three. Mowing is key, obviously. Selecting your height for the temperatures. It's easier to keep cool season grasses doing much better if they're at a little bit higher mow height in the summertime, 2.5, 3.5 inches. They can cruise through a little bit better because it keeps the ground cool. Obviously, that's going to vary with warm season grasses. St. Augustine likes to be a bit tall as well. Does a good job of shading itself. Bermuda low. You can keep zoysia super low. But in these particular times, let's say we go through a drought where there's no rain in the forecast, no rain has come through, you really have to rely on that third part of what I mentioned, is the watering aspect. Nothing works without water. And click on this link right here, the Water is King, to do a little bit of more video digging if you want on this subject. But basically this, if you let your ground dry out, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is one of the most detrimental things you can do to soil life, is to let ground go completely dry and expose it. So you need to keep a level of moisture in there, and everybody should think about their ground as a pan, about a 6-inch deep pan. That's what we're going for. When we take soil samples, we use this 6-inch method. When we measure in, there's 2 million pounds of soil per acre. That's in the top 6 inches. These are the things that it was always this top 6 inches. So you want to water down into those levels. If you're putting out, if it's 100 degrees out and you're watering once a week for 25 minutes or whatever it may be, that's probably not going to do it for you. Grass tends to require 1.5 inches of water a week. 1.5 inches of water a week. So you really need to know how much moisture is coming out of your sprinklers. And so in some of these places, you may be under water restrictions, so it's going to be a little more challenging. Your sprinkler system might not do it for you. You might have to go out there and hand water and put a sprinkler out in the nighttime or whatever, just to get something down to keep the ground moist. Helps keep the grass cool. Coolness is what we're going for. So it's if what you really need to look for is water is great because it'll help form the plant. You know, plants need drinks. That's true. It has to have moisture in its cells, but it also keeps the soil cool, and which keeps the plant cool, which keeps the stress levels low. Not exactly sure what happened there. It seemed like it cut off for a second. So I don't know where it lost me, but we'll just try this again. So it's really important for you to water in spurts. If it dries out, you got to come in low. Slow watering. You come in with a low amount of minutes and then chase it again once that water's had a chance to percolate, because it's going to have to work its way back down inside. If you have sandy soil, again, infrequent, short bursts of watering, because the more you load that up, it just quickly is moving through the profile. Clay, you just have to build back into the bank. And just think about that. 6 inches down. You want moisture 6 inches down, get a screwdriver, test that out. So moving into the other side, the floods. Now, floods offer a completely different thing, and my heart goes out to anybody who is, suffering from like property damage, and it's been bad. It's been really, really bad, and I'm hoping everybody has like swift and speedy recoveries and rebuilds once this is done, and nothing that was truly irreplaceable was lost. So I hope that everybody out there is really doing okay, and probably lawn care is the last thing on your mind if that's going on. For those of you that did have flooding cresting over lawns, or extreme high amount of rains, this is another way to really deplete soils quickly. If there's standing water on a lawn, nitrate leaches freely, salts float to the surface. Roots can really tend to get damaged, and it's a very depleting system. And beyond that, you're bringing in other foreign matter if it's like a flowing or rivers breaching or something like that, where it's coming in from further upstream. You're going to have greater weed pressure and different things like that. So this is almost a rebuild time. When you see lawns come out of drought, they are going to need to be ferted out. Of floods. They're going to need to be ferted out of that flood. You're going to have to rebuild that soil. You need lots of potassium, and you're going to need to put nitrogen down and get those lawns to come back, because just consider that they've been wiped out. That's really how you need to think about it. I've been underwater. I haven't had really any air, and everything that was in there is going to have moved up into this water. Water will take it away. So be thinking about that. If you've been underwater, nitrogen, potassium, very important. So there's certain things, like in drought, you can't really fert your way out of a drought. That is only going to be through patience and water. That's really what you're going to have to do. You have to wait for that. And it's okay. Grass will go drought dormant. It knows it'll start to shut down. Some could burn up. You might lose areas. That might happen. But it can grow back, and it can grow back if you want to put something down, and if you think that you need to encourage something. There's really only a few things that I would ever do in that time, and that's miners. Miners are very immobile, really. You can put them down and let it sort of sit, and whatever moisture comes through, it'll help with the recovery. If you're going to be using humics on their own, it's a good time, get the soil open a little bit more. But you need to watch the nitrogen, and anything that's going to require moisture to work, to really move, especially like granular ferts or anything like that, where it actually takes some moisture to break it down. That's valuable to your plant. If you have an irrigation system, great. Just make sure you know how many inches are going out, check it, and make sure it's okay. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today. If you have questions, or if you're going through any of those things and you just need some tips or advice or whatever, you know where to get me. Answers at Lawncology. Comment down below. I'll do my best to respond to those quickly. And you know, hang in there. Droughts break, floodwaters recede, snow eventually melts, and you know, everybody's gonna go through these trials and tribulations every now and again. So I'll talk to you guys all real soon, and get back on the lawn before you know it. See ya.